Royal Proclamation of 1763. The colonists soon overwhelmed the remaining natives inhabiting the rich farming belts along the Susquehanna River and south and west to the Piedmont. The village of Secaucon in eastern North Carolina and a Secaucon warrior were the subjects of old watercolors painted by John White in 1585. Apparently, a colonist himself in the Jamestown settlement, the Secaucon had migrated south from the Algonquin peoples of the Powhatan Confederacy in present-day Virginia. In 1645, they were finally driven off by colonists from the Virginia colony during the last of the Anglo-Powhatan Wars. The land was officially transferred to the province of Carolina in 1665. They are now extinct as a separate tribe. 100 years later, the British did issue the Proclamation of 1763 in an effort to appease the resentful Indian populations. A line was drawn along the Appalachian watershed from New York to northern Florida. Colonial settlement was excluded from the interior west of the boundary, except for allowances where Indian lands could be transferred by cession or outright purchase. Dealing supposedly would be allowed only in the context of public meetings between affected Indians and the commander-in-chief of the colonies. One such meeting was held with the Creek, Choctaw, Cherokee, and the Catawba. According to Dr. Ian Barnes, I quote, "From the mouth of the Kentucky River, the line followed the Ohio River upstream, crossed Pennsylvania from the southwest to the northeast, and traversed central New York State to the Mohawk River near contemporary Rome, New York. From there, it ran north to meet the St. Lawrence River." Despite the government's peace gestures, in the same year of the proclamation, that is 1763, a mob of settlers, later called the Paxton Boys, by massacre dispatched Indian men, women, and children into the hereafter near Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The victims, Susquehannocks, were part of a village of a Conestoga Christian mission. Leading up to and blending with the American Revolution against Britain, despicable atrocities on all sides occurred across the Pennsylvania, Virginia, and the Ohio hills and basins, involving various colonial personages held in esteem in American folklore today, including Boone, Davy Crockett, George Washington, Colonel William Crawford, Simon Kenton, George Rogers Clark, Dan Morgan, and others. governor of Virginia, seized land into Kentucky and the Ohio, sent surveyors, and initiated a framework of the first settlements in the contested region. The death of numerous members of the warrior Logan's family at Yellow Creek on the Ohio River, about 50 miles from Fort Pitt, and the Pittsburgh settlement was part of what became Lord Dunmore's War in 1774, a late gasp of British authoritarianism across colonial America. Dunmore's treaty left West Virginia and Kentucky open to speculators and, at the time, illegal land steals by settlers. There were said to be about 25,000 settler families by 1776 on the tributaries of the Ohio River above the Scioto River. These backwoods people quarreled over land titles and jurisdictions that were mutually claimed by Virginia and Pennsylvania and the Indiana and Vandalia companies. Their disorganization forfeited any consistent Indian policy for a while, but the natives were restless and vengeful. And shortly before the American Revolution exploded, Ian Barnes writes, "A reign of fear spread throughout the northeastern frontier, and the occasional wanton cruelty of the Indians caused many settlers to move east, not west. The ensuing war between Loyalists and Patriots added to the slaughter. In Tyrone County, New York alone, during the Revolutionary War, 12,000 farms were abandoned, 380 women were widowed, and 2,000 children lost their fathers, according to Barnes. Native American victories, sometimes assisted by British and French collaborators, were transitory." I quote from Tocqueville's Democracy in America. "I believe that the Indian race in North America is condemned to perish, and I cannot prevent myself from thinking that on the day that the Europeans will have settled on the coast of the Pacific Ocean, it will have ceased to exist. The Indians of North America had only two options for salvation: war or civilization. In other words, they had to destroy the Europeans or become their equals. At the birth of the colonies, it would have been possible for them, by uniting their forces, to deliver themselves from the few foreigners who came to land on the shores of the continent. More than once they attempted it, and were at the point of succeeding. Today, the disproportion of resources is too great for them to be able to think of such an undertaking. Nevertheless, among the Indian nations, men of genius still arise who foresee the final lot reserved to the savage populations, and seek to unite all the Indian tribes in common hatred of the Europeans, but their efforts are impotent.